Okay.
It seems like Star Wars to me to start with.
You know, one of the most shocking security threats that you guys have ever come across, and how have you tackled them?
One of the biggest issues that we had quite often was drone warfare.
Which basically meant I created a chatbot that represented the organizational knowledge of the record label.
This piece of equipment could tell your family to go and follow it
Right.
away from the source of a fire, or away from smoke, or away from chemicals.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the CEO Chronicles, and I am super excited because I have some visionary leaders with me. Why do I say visionary? Because tech is the new thing in the town. Everybody is actually trying to do something creative, something innovative. We're hearing about AI, we're talking about so much stuff happening around, but hardly anyone's actually talking about security systems, which is actually such an important part of all our lives. For today's session, because I have two amazing speakers with me. Now, these people are the guys who've made living easy and safe. We have with us Mr. Elliot, who is the Chief Technology Officer of Axiom. And we also have Mr. J, who is the Director of Intelligence. Now, what does Axiom do? It's a UAE-based company that is providing 360-degree security solutions for one and for all. Without wasting more time, we'll get straight to the conversation, because we are going to be discovering why are security systems important, what are these doing here in Dubai, what do they have to offer to us, and of course, have you heard about something called robot dogs? Well, I haven't, so I am excited. Let's get into the conversation. Hi Elliot, hi Jay, how are you both doing today?
Very good, thank you. It's good to be here.
Doing really well, thanks.
Yeah, Dubai treating you guys well?
Really
Very.
well.
Well, that's good to know. Okay, so let's talk about your purpose for coming to Dubai first, which was the InterSec. Okay, is it your first time with InterSec?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
What made you feel like becoming a part of InterSec, and why do you think it is important for your brand?
Well, InterSec is a internationally renowned security conference that is attended by some of the most major players in the security technology sector. You know, it is the sort of holy land for security technologies to go and network with people working in the space, as well as be able to see what's out there, what new things are coming out in the future.
Yeah, I think just having all of the major players in one place and being able to just tap into that knowledge and experience and that expertise is just you can't avoid that.
Yeah, and of course, there's a lot of cross-learning. Indeed, you're coming here to build your brand, build your base, but again, learning from all those wonderful people who are going to be here, it's going to be just super amazing. Well, good to know that. Elliot, I'll start with you. I want to know, what has your journey been like to becoming the CTO of Axiom, and how have your innovative approaches shaped the present brand of Axiom?
Well, I think in order to answer that question, we have to go way back to when I was a small, experimental and sort of very, very interested in technology child.
How long ago was that?
When I was I started being interested in computers around 8. You know, I basically assumed control of the family computer, much to my younger sister's dismay. Yeah, I basically spent all my time looking at how the operating systems worked, and I was digging through different files and stuff. And then I got to school, and I continued, with that same mentality. I actually found qualifications online in ethical hacking at the age of sort of 13. I was doing them sort of secretly. When I couldn't actually sleep at night, I'd just stay up and just look at cool...
How do I hack accounts?
Well, I mean, also looking at malicious code and viruses, malware, Trojans. I actually put a backdoor on my own computer in order to actually see if anyone had used it, because it would allow me on another computer that I had to actually look at the webcam remotely or check what people are doing. Or occasionally my parents would lock down our Wi-Fi, you haven't done your homework, so you need to do your homework before you can get access to the internet.
Well, we've all been through that generation.
Yeah,
parents locking stuff for us.
Exactly. And so occasionally there would be sites that I would want to go on, like gaming sites, because they basically had this schedule where basically game sites during the homework time were not allowed. But occasionally there would be sites that got incorrectly flagged. And in order to get through to that, I would need to basically have the password entered to approve that website. So I would call one of my parents into my room and be like, look, I need this website for my uni work. It's really important. And then they would enter the password on my computer, and that obviously had a back door on it, recording all the keystrokes. So I would basically had access to the internet, whatever I wanted to get onto. And then when I got to school, I was interested in their server setup, and I basically one time found a pretty big vulnerability in their school system. It was a permission escalation exploit. And I actually, I felt like I did the right thing. I went to the IT department. I said, look, guys, you've got a serious problem with your infrastructure security risk. And these technicians basically told me to leave them alone and leave the important work to the adults. So I went outside and told all my friends exactly how to do it. And they basically did it and started causing havoc. They logged onto the school notice board and announced fake cancellations to classes, incorrect room changes, and I ended up getting suspended for that. So that's where it started. Then, I basically went through a period where I was sort of protesting a little bit. So I was somewhat involved in sort of online activism, where you basically all go on, try and access a website at the same time, and that caused the website to get overloaded and stuff like that. And, I was young and sort of didn't really understand the way the world worked at the time, but, I definitely was, super interested in it. And then one of my friends ended up getting arrested and almost deported to America. And so at that point, I took a little bit of a step back and decided that maybe I didn't want to end up getting sent to Guantanamo Bay or something. And so I basically put my focus in audio engineering. I basically learned how to wire up audio systems, microphones, how they worked, how speaker systems worked, how you can send audio over networks, things like this. Live streaming, engineering, things like that. And during that time, I started a record label, a booking agency, and event company. And that went well, operated in the UK and the Netherlands. Plus, we did events all over, in various different regions, including the Czech Republic and Belgium and Poland. Anyway, then COVID hit, and I realized very quickly that I needed to pivot my organization to adapt to this period where we couldn't make any money from organizing events. And we basically went into a more content releasing strategy. It was the perfect time for it. We had a captive audience, but all this content needed administrating, form filling, all that sort of thing. And I built a load of AI automations to essentially automate the filling of forms, because you basically have to fill the same form in again, 5 different places, but it's the exact same information. So I basically decided best thing to do would be to create a chatbot that would collect all of this information from the artist and then just be able to fill it in the forms instantly. Then I created a chatbot that essentially had a semantic memory. So everything that you ever said to it and everything it ever generated would go into a vector database. So if we sort of simplify it to a 3D graph, okay, any subject would be put somewhere on this 3D space, and similar subjects, so cat and dog, they would end up quite close to each other on this 3D graph. And then something else like a light or a camera would be far away from that. And then when you sent a message to Jeff, it would look through its database and be able to find the 5 nearest subject matter questions and answers that had been asked before, which basically meant I'd created a chatbot that represented the organizational knowledge of the record label. And it was at that point that I realized that this is something that organizations are going to want and need in the next generation of tech.
Correct. Oh, wow. That is some journey, coming from ethical hacking down to, preparing and being a part of a security system that's like using your brains to, the best possible use. That's amazing. Well done. Well done on that. Well, I want to ask you, Jay. You guys are really talking about things like robot dogs and, voice commandments, etc. Now, for me, this actually sound like terms out of a sci-fi movie. So I'm in the Marvel universe, okay, and I'm thinking about all those, like massive, big stuff, and some interesting things coming out. What was the inspiration behind these terms, and just describe what are these things?
The technical side of things, I'm totally on the same side as you. It seems like Star Wars to me to start with. I think the big thing to understand is it's small innovations, small developments. Once you've got a system that can recognize images, recognize language, that's like the next step, and everything just leaps way ahead. The robotic side of things, if you can make something move, it doesn't have to be a robot dog. If you can make something move on tracks, or you can make something move on wheels. For instance, with some of the companies that we're associated with, like Deep Robotics in the US, which is quite a big one.
China, actually.
China, sorry, wrong one.
Yeah.
And then the big thing for me is there's a lot of technology out there that just needs to be adapted.
Sure.
For instance, with the AI system, we've had computers for years, we've had phones for years,
Yes.
but it's just adding that little bit extra, that interaction, that connectivity, which makes the big leap. And that's what makes it seem like Star Wars. We're using technology that's been around for a long time, but we're just giving it that extra little edge. A phone that you can just talk to, a TV system, lights that you can just talk to. It seems space age, but it's actually based on very simple principles.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the fundamental architecture of a voice assistant is you have text-to-speech.
Sure.
And speech-to-text, and then voice activity detection. So essentially, those components have been around for quite some time. Okay, yeah.
Indeed.
The text-to-speech had very robotic-sounding voices, but it did exist. And due to the advent of large language models, we have now been able to actually apply these interfaces in a way that seems like you're on a starship heading to the next galaxy,
I think the big thing for us is looking at not how it's been achieved really now, but is what can we add to that. So with the K9 robotic dog units, my sort of background is all in sort of surveillance and intelligence work. So having the ability to change the payload on these systems, to have sensors on there that could detect smoke or could detect danger or whatever, and then having outputs, speakers, for instance, or lights, this piece of equipment could tell your family to go and follow it away from the source of a fire, or away from smoke, or away from chemicals, and it could do that. Or if it sensed danger through an interconnected CCTV system or audio systems, it could then direct you, follow the lights, and take your family to safety. The sort of thing that could have been really useful in California recently with the bushfires. If it was
100%.
detecting carbon monoxide levels going up, and it could get your family to safety, maybe get them to the vehicle.
Yes.
And this is what we're really looking at, taking what's out there and then applying a little bit of real world analysis to then say, right, what could we do with this? This is where we're at, but what could we do with this? And that's what really excites me, is using technology that is based on all these tiny little steps, but then taking that next big leap.
Well, that's absolutely right. And the best part of thing is, while technology has been here for a while, a lot of times you feel that the problems that are so at the surface level are being treated, like the text to speech, voice to text, etc., and all of that. That's indeed there. But these smaller things, which is the details, the daily issues, which actually cause bigger problems, and so they have somehow been ignored. A lot of those daily hassles, and indeed, I'm not saying that technology innovation is not happening. Of course, it's happening. People are doing a lot of good work, but I think it's somehow not, getting the attention it deserves.
Yeah. I think just a little bit more thought applied.
Yes.
let's get the maximum we can out of the maximum effect out of what we've already got in front of us, even before we start to develop and innovate.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, like they say, don't reinvent the wheel. Just figure out what else is possible. And just take on and move on. Great stuff, great stuff. Okay, so let's talk about this. So a lot of people, including me, I've always felt that problems should be fixed only after there's an issue. So you don't fix something that's not broken. As simple as that. Now you guys are actually one step ahead of the whole process. You are preparing for the unseen. You are preparing people for something that's not happened. How did this thought come about, A? And second, what are the kind of innovations that you guys are adopting in Axiom that actually push you ahead of your time?
I think this is something that all of the team members bring a little bit to the party here. So Elliot's got the innovation with the technology. Other members of the team bring ideas on either how we can use that or how we can, like you say, how we can solve problems ahead of them necessarily becoming big problems. Myself, I'm always thinking about how much we can achieve with the minimum amount of cost for a start, but also the minimum amount of resources and the minimum amount of technical complexity, so it's less things to go wrong. But I think most of it is just we've got a lot of very similar minds. We see things, we want to make them better. We see an opportunity to make them better, which maybe hasn't been approached before, or it has been approached, but now we apply a couple of other levels to that, layers to it. And I think that's the main thing. I think it's just we have, for want of a better word, the right minds all together at the same time.
Yeah.
That sometimes causes chaos. Sometimes we produce gold, but I think that's probably how I look at it anyway.
Of course. See, if you're doing 10 experiments, not all 10 will, do really well. It's just maybe even 2 are amazing. Your whole problem is solved. So I think that's how things really happen when a lot of good minds work together. You create this, there's this. You're innovating something every single day, and it's inspiring. Do you want to add on to this?
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like one of the things that I've noticed and why I am consistently moving more into the security domain is that the whole world is becoming more unpredictable when it comes to safety and security. Sure, things are good now. Things are good in the majority of the world, but there is still a huge amount of conflict going on. Just look at the edges of Europe in Ukraine. There's a lot of conflict happening in various different places around the world, and who knows where that conflict is going to be next.
Correct. That's right. So, I mean, knowing about you guys, I've got to know some new terms. We've talked about bulletproof barriers, the robot dogs, the underground bunkers, and so on. Do you think that personal security now is more of a necessity rather than luxury?
Yeah, I do think so. I think for myself, I've seen over the last probably 10, maybe even 15 years, more organizations and groups looking to get intelligence, to develop their own intelligence or have people provide that for them. And that tended to be a big thing with Iraq and Afghanistan. We saw that. And then with Ukraine, that became even more important. But also on the domestic side of things, people wanted it. The NHS back in the UK, large health organisations, they're developing their own intelligence teams. And that seemed to be the way ahead at the time. I think now that's shifting, and it's not just, I want to know what is happening. I want to know what is happening tomorrow, the day after, and I want to be able to set up my own preventative measures in advance. So I think the two things really go hand in hand. Like Elliot was saying about things are more unstable, instability, those variables come up, people start to feel nervous. Even if there is no tangible threat on your doorstep, having the ability to prevent something that could happen gives people that sense of security, and it just improves people's quality of life. So a lot of the time, I don't think it's about protecting people from harm. I think it's protecting people from the fear of harm. a lot of the time.
True. That is true.
And just to add on to that point, while we think it is a necessity as opposed to a luxury, we at Axiom Group don't believe that it should be exclusive. So we think that safety could, and we believe will come with luxury as well.
Of course, I think with growing concerns like, we've discussed the whole scenario of the political world that we're in now with, all of these issues, the wars, the threats. And so be it international stuff, be it even like local community issues and so on, I think personal security needs to be taken a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
And people, in fact, don't. Okay, let's be very honest. A lot of people believe like, we're living in a unicorn world and everything is good. Everything will fall into place. I hope it does eventually, but I think it is really important to actually take care and use technology, for that matter. Let's talk about one of the most shocking security threats that you guys have ever come across, and how have you tackled that?
So in my past, my background is military. So there's been one or two to think of one that I can talk about, and two that will be applicable. Some of the weirdest security threats, you've seen it on the news quite a lot now, but one of the biggest issues that we had quite often was drone warfare.
Right.
As we've seen now, drone warfare, a lot of the electrical side of things, radio jamming, GPS jamming, which a lot of people don't understand, which is literally the ability to just block out any GPS signals in an area. And it sounds quite low level, but that has a massive impact on sort of modern security systems.
Actually, I've been seeing some technology recently where actually this technology can pretend to be a satellite that your drone connects to, and it then tells the drone that it's in a completely different place so that it flies off into a random direction, and then you lose your drone.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you can, with this technology, you can actually whitelist your drone. So any drone that's like an enemy drone, you can sort of give fake instructions to that it basically flies off, and then you can fly your drone in, and then you've got free airspace, unrestricted airspace, and that technology could be really handy for security. But in the wrong hands, it could also be quite a disruptive technology.
Yes. My goodness, what is happening in the world? And it shocks me. The more we get to know, the more there is to know. That okay, this can also go wrong, and that's it. Well, on that note, we're just about to conclude the podcast. Is there anything else you want to address at this point in time? Anything you want to share?
I don't know if you want to discuss some of the other areas that we're working in that might be that work hand in hand, but that might be quite useful to know about.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned before about bulletproof glass and sort of barriers and stuff, and we're very lucky to have a partner in Turkey called Allgen Industrial Group, and we're really happy. We actually got to visit their booth at InterSec. It was really good to, get that personal connection. They sat us down for a good hour and a half at their booth. We had some really nice chats about, the future of our collaboration. And
Very nice. Very nice. So there's a lot of development happening, even, expansions and so on. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so the Axiom Group, the actual name itself comes from the word axiom, which means fundamental truth. And then it's our mission and network. Our fundamental truth is our mission to protect people, keep people safe, but also to build a robust network of collaborators.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. Well, Jay and Elliot, it was amazing chatting with you guys about, all the great stuff that Axiom is into, security systems, why is it important, and, what all problems can we perhaps protect ourselves from, what all issues, etc., by actually using technology in the right way, of course. Okay. For all our viewers, thank you so much for watching our podcast. We've had an amazing discussion with Jay and Elliot on all the aspects of security systems. Now, they were here for InterSec, and they are actually at your service I would like you to go check out their website, get in touch with them on Instagram, and discover all the amazing things that they're into. Secure your home, secure your living with the Axiom products, and they'd be super happy to have discussions with you on how can they help you secure your surroundings. So we're obviously going to be having another session with them, talking more about security systems and a lot of technological stuff. And for that, I want you to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned. And up until the next time when I see you, I wish you all the best and please take care. Thank you.